everyone, and welcome to episode 113 of the This Old Knit podcast. I am your host, Nina, otherwise known as Ine, on Ravelry, Instagram, and Pinterest, and you can find show notes for this episode and all previous episodes on the corresponding numbered thread of the This Old Knit Ravelry group. So welcome to all new viewers and welcome back to all returning viewers. I am a multi-craftual podcaster coming to you from the central portion of Connecticut. And I have a ridiculous amount of things to share this week. So it is Monday, June 3rd, I think. And I just got home from work, but I wanted to make sure that I threw something out there because I have such a huge amount of things that if I don't podcast now, I won't be able to share at least one of them because it's a teacher gift for my daughter's teacher, and I believe next week is her last week of school. I'm not sure, but it's done, so yay for that. Yeah, I wanted to show it on the podcast. So it's actually really warm in here, so I'm gonna take this off. I'm not at work now, so I don't need to be formal, right? And the camera is pretty far away, but I feel like I'm a little bit too high up, so I'm sorry if it cuts off my head some of the time, but this is the best I could do on short notice, and I just kind of threw everything down as I came in to the house, and I ran around and tried to grab everything, so hopefully I have all the things, but I do at least have the FO that I finished that I'm going to give to Penguin's teacher. So let's start with that. So FO number 1, I actually kept the ball band so that I'd be able to include it in the gift because it does have washing instructions on there, and it says what the yarn is made out of in case she wants to know for some reason. So I knit this out of Knit Picks Felici in the Glacier colorway. It took me 1 and maybe 1/3 of a ball of the Knit Picks Felici, and it's 218 yards per ball, so but I knit a sockhead slouch hat, and I always knit mine 2 pattern for the ribbing portion as far as the length goes, but then I only knit 6.5 inches on the main hat portion, and then I begin my decreases, and I've found that that makes it so that the hat can go on your head, and if you double the ribbing for the brim, then it just fits perfectly on most people's heads as a beanie, or has a very, very slight amount of ease on the top, but it's not slouchy at all. So then you have kind of 2 ways that you can wear it, and when you wear it without it being doubled, it's not a ton of slouch. So I figured that was probably the best way to go for Megan's teacher, since I don't know how she likes to wear her hats. And Megan told me that her favorite color is blue and that she likes all colors of blue, so I figured I'd be pretty safe with this because it's lots and lots of different blue tones. I have the crazy green lighting from the outside because plants. I'm in a forest, guys, so I can't help it. The sunlight filtering through the trees gives me sort of a warm green effect. I like it, but it's going to look a little bit weird and yellow on the podcast. So that is finished object number 1. Sockhead slouch hat, Knit Picks Felici, teacher gift for the year. Done. Oops. I do need to wash and block it, so I probably will do that this week, but I'm slowly washing and blocking all of my sweaters. They're all sitting down here on the floor behind you. I started with my worsted weight sweaters because I think that the weather is such that now I will not be wearing those for the rest of the summer. Fingering weight sweaters, 3/4 sleeves, I probably can still wear in the evenings and potentially on a cooler day. So we're kind of trending into the 60s and 70s. as the highs during the day, and the evenings are in like the 50s and 60s. So still perfectly fine for 3/4 sleeves, but I'll probably wash my full sleeve So Faded sweater, my peach one, and probably have that ready to put away as well. So segueing into that, fingering weight sweaters with 3/4 sleeves. I finished my Sperry sweater, and this is a pattern by Amy Miller. It is a top-down raglan with a boat neck. I love this neckline so much, guys. I love it so much. And it has 3/4 length sleeves and a split hem. The hem is the only thing that I maybe will do differently next time. I already have colors picked out for another version of this because it's actually very similar to one of my very favorite sweaters that I have. That's a sweater I got from Gap many, many years ago. But it's looking really worse for wear, and it's majority acrylic with, I think, 10 or 20% wool. But it has this really nice neckline, and it is mint green with like a gray thin stripe in very similar like spacing as well. And it's just a little bit longer, kind of tunic length, maybe a little bit shorter than tunic length. And it has just deep ribbing at the bottom. So that's what's making up the rest of the length. And it is full length sleeves. So I'm going to see if I can use this pattern as the basis to make one like that sweater. And all I will do is I just won't split for the hem, and then I will add ribbing at the bottom, which should be a very simple modification. But otherwise, this fits perfectly. I love it. I will probably wear it next time I podcast, but obviously I didn't have time with it being so impromptu. So for the yarns, which I showed this last time, so I won't go into too much detail because it was 90% done at that point. The yarns I used are Wool & Vine Yarns, Volca, and Blitzed in the Stellar Banshee colorway. And then the pink is Moonstone Dye Works in the Atomic Rust colorway. So it was 3 different skeins of Stellar Banshee. Obviously, they were dyed at different times. So to the extent that Indie Dyed Yarns have dye lots, these are obviously very, very different dye lots. I didn't do too much to mitigate any pooling or anything like that because the biggest section you do ever of any color is, I think, like 16 rows. So I just made sure I kept my same color order as far as which ball I was pulling from. So I had this one that's very, very light. So I did that every 3rd stripe. So you can see the lighter stripe. But yeah, I really like it. I think it was great as far as color management and being able to use these 3 skeins together that were very different, but it looks cohesive. So I love it very, very much, and I will be wearing it a lot. And there's my Sperry sweater. And this was like double stash or shelf challenge because I had 2 of the skeins in stash for a couple of years at this point. The glittery one I got in the big box that I received from a viewer, and the Atomic Rust I had in my stash for a few years as well. And then the Sperry pattern itself I've had in my library since 2016. So it was definitely time to knit it up. Okay. And then my last FO that I have, is that right? Yes, my last FO is a sewing FO. So I finished my Landers shorts. And there was a bit of a tale of woe with these. If you'll recall, I cut out a size 12 waist, and then I graded down to a size 8 for the hip portion and the bottom of the shorts. And I think that was too much. Like, based on my waist measurements, they corresponded with a 12, but it was too big. Like, big enough that you could have pantsed me. Like, pulled my pants down without unbuttoning them. So what I did is I took off the belt loops on each side seam, and I haven't actually quite completed these because I need to go back and finish this seam that I did, but they're good enough to show you guys. So I seam ripped the waistband off, and the belt loops, I pulled those off as well, and then I just added into the side seam. So I brought it in, I think you'll be able to see. There you go. So I kind of brought it in, and then I slowly tapered down into the existing seam on the side. So they do fit now. I may even snug it up just a tiny bit more, which is why I have not finished off those seams yet. I want to try wearing them for a little while and see, like, as they kind of stretch out a bit with wear, are they going to be too loose, and I really need to tighten that up more. But I took in a 1/2 inch on each side. So this is why you do muslins, and this is technically my wearable muslin. This pink fabric was all just like scrap, and I squeezed these out of what was left of that fabric. Like, I literally had almost nothing left. Yeah, I'm looking over there. I maybe have enough for a few quilt squares and then just some random crazy scraps. But I lined the pockets with some leftover flannel from the nightgown that I sewed for my friend's daughter. That's a better representation of the color. It's a true bubblegum pink, and then this is a pale pink with like white and dark pink stars. So that's my contrast fabric for my pockets. The pockets are huge. And then on the back, more huge humongous pockets. And there is a belt loop. I don't ever wear belts, so I don't really care that I'm missing those 2 side belt loops, other than maybe aesthetically they might balance it out, but I don't care enough to go back and put them back in, because I would have to then re-seam rip the waistband and put them in, and I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to leave it with 3 belt loops. That's fine. From the front, it looks like it has 2 belt loops. These buttons, I had a card with 3 buttons on it that I purchased several years ago from Joann's. And I really wanted to use them on these shorts because I think they look nice with the pink. I didn't want more pink. I wanted a little bit of a contrast. So they're wooden. And so I went back to Joann's here just on the chance that they might have them, and they actually did. So I got another card of those buttons. So now I have 2 random wooden buttons. They'll get used someday. Like, I think they'd be good for one of those little baby cardigans that buttons up here. So maybe if someone I know has a baby, that's what they'll go on. They would be good baby buttons. They're kind of big, and wood buttons, you wouldn't care as much if they're biting on them. I don't know why I made sounds, but I guess that's what babies do. They make chomping sounds. Anyway, so these are the Lander shorts from True Bias. Otherwise, it was a very fun sew. The instructions are very thorough and straightforward. I zigzagged all of my seams to finish them because this fabric frays like nobody's business. So I did make sure that I either enclosed my seams or finished them off with some zigzag stitching. I may even go back at some point and serge them, depending on if they continue to fray so badly. But I think I'm okay for right now. So yeah, I'm really proud of these. And I already have planned to make a pair of black ones and a pair of khaki ones. And then I think I'll be kind of all set for the summer because it is summer here for a hot second. And then it is back into fall, which is what I love. Yay, Connecticut. So then I have a half object, and this is a half object that I'm quite pleased about. So Josh, my husband, blew another hole in the socks that I knit for him out of Footsie in the Captain Swan colorway. But I made the mistake of using a merino yarn. What was it? It was Mad Tosh sock, I think, that I got from a swap or something. It was in Steamer Trunk Gray. And I used it for heels and toes because it matched the yarn very nicely. Well, that is not a blend that I should ever use for my husband, and I already have repaired / replaced the heel, so I used what I call my Sockulus Reparo method, which I've gone into in previous podcasts, but essentially cut the sock into 2 halves, and then I knit a new heel flap and gusset section, and then I grafted it. But now he blew a hole in like the toe, which is fine. That's a much easier fix. So I think I'm just gonna rip back both of the toes, and then all of that yarn will be gone off of those socks. The Volanvine footsie is in great shape, still going strong, nothing wrong with it. So he has gigantic man feet, and I'm not reknitting an entire sock if I can just knit little bits of it here and there. So I'm gonna rip out both the toes, replace them with, I used Patton's Croy in the flax colorway to fix them. But in the meantime, that was a good reminder that he does need more socks because he wears them to work out every day. And anytime he needs to wear socks, he does wear hand knit socks. So I knew I had a sock that was, the leg was completed and I had finished the heel flap, and I just needed to work the gusset. I even was starting, I had started on the gusset because all the stitches were picked up, and I had to figure out, like, had I done decreases yet. So I picked that back up on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday night. And I finished the foot and the toe. So this is one sock completed. And you guys, I had no idea how long this had been on the needles. January 2008, no, 2016 is when I cast this on. Ravelry doesn't lie, my friends. January 2016. These have been on my needles for 3 years. That is too long. Even for me, that's too long. So now that I know, it's sort of shameful. So I'm glad that I picked them back up and I started on the second one. So the yarn is West Yorkshire Spinners. This is part of their some kind of birds, country birds, I think, collection. So this is the mallard colorway, and it does really have the colors of a mallard duck. And then I used Knit Picks Risada in the cocoa colorway for the heel and toe. And that yarn is a yarn that just doesn't quit. I have, I knit my second pair of socks ever out of Knit Picks Risada in a cream color, and they look just as good today as the day that I bound them off, and I have worn the crap out of them. And it's amazing. So it is a wool cotton elastic blend, and I wish they still made it because it's amazing. But I do have a lot of skeins of it in my stash because when they discontinued it, I think that I bought all of the balls that they had left. And then I inherited 2 of them from my Aunt Lynn. She actually gifted them to me before she passed away because she knew I loved Risada so much, and she had 2 balls of navy blue in her stash, and she was like, you should have it. So she gave those to me. So those have to be kind of special socks. But yeah, I'm looking at it right there. I've got a tangerine color, a brown color that I know I made into leg warmers, but I have more. It's called Sable. I have like a teal, a navy blue. I have enough of the cream color for a sweater, actually. And then I have a dark purple called Marionberry that I got enough to make a baby sweater for Joshua out of, but I never made it. So maybe that'll be a couple pairs of socks. Josh doesn't care about wearing different colors. He'd probably like a dark purple pair of socks. So I'm going to use these as the tester pair to see how Risada stands up to the Josh test of wear, but I'm hopeful. So, yep, that is sock number 1, and I already cast on for sock number 2. I was just working on this a little bit last night at bedtime, but Joshua was having a really hard time falling asleep. It was kind of warm in the house, and he just was really amped up. I don't know why. So this is a fun little stitch marker that Jessica gave me as a gift. Hi, Jessica. So it's a little coffee mug. I think she got it at like a festival in Canada. Maybe it's the Kitchener Yarn Festival. I don't remember. But yeah, so hopefully the second sock will go quickly and then I will be done. And hey, self-striping yarn, guys. So self-striping Cal. TOK's self-striping Cal. I wasn't intending to knit socks, but apparently I'm going to because 3 years. No. So that is my half object. And then whips. So the first whip is the one I've probably worked the most on. I'm trying not to drop the other thing I've got sitting there. And I have Lane magazines sitting on my lap because I don't know why. Okay, so the thing I've been working the most on is my Cipolla sweater. And this is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, who's Boyland Knitworks on Ravelry and Instagram and I think everywhere else. But it's a top-down colorwork pattern, and I am knitting the size 46, maybe? But her gauge is much, much looser than mine. So based on my gauge, I should be getting around a 40 to 42 inch chest. I've tried it on, it fits great. And I added some waist shaping because I'm different sizes. So the two colors I'm using are, this is Wool & Vine Yarns Volca in the Lady of the Lake colorway. And this was part of that delightful, beautiful gift box. And then the other color is the Yarn at Home Mom, and it's in an unnamed teal colorway, but see, it's got sparkles. So it's on her shimmer base. And yeah, Shannon's amazing. I have waxed poetic about her yarn before, and I will continue to do so because she's dyeing yarn again, yay! But I am alternating skeins, and I am using the helical knitting method on this. So that is detailed in Babel's Traveling Yarns, who is Grace, has made a tutorial for it. I will link to it in the show notes because it is great and it really does work, guys. So I don't have any carrying up the inside, and alternating skeins is way easier this way. So I'm definitely going to be doing this going forward for when I'm alternating indie dyed skeins. There we go. That's the color. But these two skeins of yarn are really great. They're not pooling and they look beautiful. I love this sweater and I'm so, so excited to have it for this fall. This might be one of my Rhinebeck sweaters. I don't know. I think I might go to Rhinebeck 2 days this year. It sounds like I also might be hosting a Rhinebeck slumber party. I think my friend Andrea is coming, and potentially my sister as well. So that will be pretty fun. And yeah, I have room and I have air mattresses. So that'll be a good time. And it'd be nice if I could split up the driving. I wouldn't mind driving to Rhinebeck 2 days. So yay, Cipolla! And I've had the Cipolla sweater pattern since it came out. So this is definitely a shelf. I don't think it would be considered a stash because the Yarn at Home Mom I bought for myself for my birthday. It was when she was doing her big D-stash. I can't recall when I received it. And this obviously I got in the mail this year. So neither of them would count for stash from Stash or Shelf Challenge, but they are in my stash obviously. I didn't buy them for this pattern. So that's my Cipolla. And I think I need to try it on because I think I'm ready to start increasing for the hips. But I'm not sure. I usually work around 3 inches plain after I do decrease rounds because I'm very long torsoed. So I have quite a long area where I need to work straight before I increase to flare out. So then, see if I can dig down there. Okay. For our self-striping cowl, since I was talking about, you know, trying to use my self-striping yarn for other things, I cast on for another sockhead hat. And this one is going to be just sort of for general family use, I think. Let's figure out what's going on. I don't know what's going on there. Weird. I must have dropped a stitch or something. All right, hang on a second. Yeah, okay. So, I'm using more of my Aunt Lynn's yarn. I'm really trying to make an effort to regularly look and see if I can use some of her yarn in my projects, just because yeah, I like it. It makes it more special, and obviously she had it sitting around, so I don't want to have the same thing. So this one is Felici, old Felici, like classic Felici that was sort of more between a fingering and sport weight. This one is called Sticks and Stones. So it is grays, like taupe, and some different browns. And same stitch count for sock head. This fits all the way from my son up to my husband. So it's a very stretchy, nice, versatile hat. I have a stitch marker on there from Little Bitty Delights because these colors really remind me of s'mores. Don't they remind you of a s'more? So just a little beginning at this point, but this is the thing I've been just carrying with me and throwing in my bag to work on at work, because if I don't get very long to knit at lunch, or you know, maybe I'm waiting in line for something, like if I go run out to the store, if I'm waiting in line, I can knit on this. I couldn't knit on my sweater, so I wanted to have a nice, just basic project. That reminds me, I have to sew a bag, so I donated a bag as a prize for the Solidarity Swap cowl, and I did get the winner's name, so I need to stitch it up. I have fabric already cut out for it. And Vizentia, your bag is in the mail, so hopefully you will get it soon. I didn't get like estimated arrival though. Whenever I send stuff international, I don't get estimated arrival time. So who knows? Seems like it's always pretty quick. And then, oh yes, no, haven't worked on that. It's my sock from Mondo. I hadn't showed this one in a while, but I did work on it some recently. I worked on it when I was laying down one night. So this is my surprise party shawl. Oh my gosh. Whenever I get it out, I love it so much. And then I don't work on it. So I'm knitting this out of No Makers in the Sprinkles colorway, which is her tweed, her party gnome base. Sorry, I can't hold it closer. And then I got a mini skein set of speckled mini skeins from Mothie and the Squid. So it's like a dark or a traditional rainbow, and then there's a like pastels rainbow. And so I pulled out the traditional rainbow colors, and I still have the pastels rainbow colors, which I think I will use as a yoke for like a colorwork cardigan. Not really colorwork, it would just be striped. or maybe Mosaic Knit, but for Megwin with either brown or maybe like a dark green as the body. I think those would both look really nice. I would not do cream or white though because she is messy. So anyway, that's fine. So this is a surprise party shawl pattern by Helen Stewart. So I've finished my first rainbow and then I'm, working on some more party gnome. This base is so soft. I love it. And I'm glad that I got a skein in almost every color that she made. She did do a donuts collection, and at the time that it came out, I couldn't afford to buy it. So I don't have any of the donuts ones, but that's okay. I got a lot. I have plenty of party gnome. It's okay that I missed a few colors. I think it was like chocolate, and then there was like the blue one and a raspberry donut. My friend Andrea has them. She got them, and I got to see them. So super jealous, Andrea, but that's okay. So anyway, I think I just knit like this, this bit is what I knit when I was working on it the other night. It's a half pie, so, it just keeps getting bigger. What is in here? Oh, I do know what's in there. Okay. So I mentioned that I was going to cast on for another Sperry, and I do have my colors picked out for that. So I want to do it in blues with like a hot purple stripe. So this colorway is Lord of the Sith Dies Falling Down an Elevator Shaft. It is from Pandia's Jewels from my Star Wars Fade collection, but it came with 7 skeins, and I think I might use it for the What the Fade shawl, but it only needs 6 colors. So the darkest color I kept out. And then I'm going to stripe it with this one, which is Wool and Vine Yarns Gatekeeper. This was in the Strange Brew Yarn Club, so it was all different one-of-a-kind skeins. And there's actually a lot of this blue in here. But the way that it's skeined up, you can really see the pops of the hot pink, but this is like the basis for it. Or sorry, that's the base color for it. And then the color I'm going to use for my highlight stripes is this one. So this is creatively dyed in the New Orleans colorway. And it's a giant skein. So I know that based on my other Sperry, I will have a crap ton of this left. I also think that I might use this as the collar, the ribbing on the cuffs, and the ribbing on the bottom. So I will use more of the contrast than I did in my previous Sperry, because I went with the pattern being more subtle. But because there's more high contrast between these stripes, I think it will be neat to pull it all together with that stripe, or sorry, with that color on the accents or the edgings, I guess, of the sweater. But I'm really excited about it. So it's going to be the one to kind of replace my kicking around mint and gray kind of sweater that I throw on. So I gathered all the yarns and I skeined them all up. But then I realized I had a sock that was 3 years old and I needed to finish it. So I haven't cast that on yet. And then the other thing that I am super duper excited about. I found a yellow fade. And for those who follow me on Instagram, you've already seen it, but bear with me because yellow is my favorite color. And I do not have a yellow sweater. Why? Why do I not have a yellow sweater? It's my favorite color. So the first color will be Life in the Long Grass in the cushion colorway. So this is a skein I got at, or when I went to VKL, but when I spent time hanging out with Melissa, who is Skinanigans, and her last name is Alexander Loomis. The reason I was confused is because I have another person I know whose last name is Loomis, and Mom and I were talking about that person, so I was like, no, I'm thinking wrong. I'm confusing those names, but I wasn't. That is actually her name. It's just a coincidence. So anyway, Life in the Long Grass cushion. And this has some really great memories of hanging out with Kristen and Carlene and Emily, Slow Fashion Rebel, and at Brooklyn General. And I bought this at Brooklyn General. So yeah, that'll be nice to have in my sweater. And then the next one that I will do is a skein that Meg gifted to me. Meg from Bad Wolf Girls Sits and Knits podcast and the dyer behind Bad Wolf Girl Studios, who is one of the sweetest people. So this one is Beauxbatons, and it's one of her Harry Potter colorways. Look at those two together, guys. So it has the blue for the Beauxbatons uniforms and maroon. I think the boys have some maroon like accents on their robes. And then the next one, this is like totally Friends and stuff sweaters. So this is awesome that they're going together, and they're all different dyers. This one is from Shauna, who's the dyer behind Adelaide Cottage Yarns, and she has the Adelaide Cottage podcast. And again, a super, super sweet person. I met her at Rhinebeck, but you know, we chatted before then. So this is the I'm Ready to Wallow Now colorway from her Gilmore Girls Club, which I think was maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I got it. So with me so far. And then the last one is going to play off of the golds in this. So it's going to be at the bottom, and it is a little bit darker, but yeah, there's a lot of gold in this skein. So it'll be fine. So this one, let me bring them closer so you can really see those gold pops. Yeah. So this one is not that yellow, for one thing, but it is called Have You Tried the Cheddar Curds? And or have you tried the fried cheddar curds? It's from Destination Yarns, and it was her colorway for Wool Gathering a couple of years back. And Wool Gathering is held at Young's Jersey Dairy, which is a place near and dear to my heart. I have a lot of childhood memories there. I went on my first date there to Udders and Putters, which is their mini golf. And I drank a lot of calf shakes at the fair growing up in Ohio. So lots of good memories there. So I'm really happy that I get to also include that. And if you haven't tried the fried cheddar curds at Wool Gathering, you need to do it because they are so good. You can't go wrong with deep fried cheese. So anyway, so have you tried the fried cheddar curds? And yeah, that'll be my yellow fade. So I am super excited. And as per the usual with fades, I can't hold it all in my hands. There we go. It's gonna be awesome. It's not gonna be like the pink fade. I refuse to let yellow let me down like that pink fade did. Pretty sure that pink fade went kaput so that I wouldn't burn out on knitting So Faded sweaters before this happened. That's my theory, because I refuse to believe that this can't be. Sorry, I'm throwing yarn everywhere. Okay. Will I finish this podcast in time to eat dinner before my family gets home? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. They're at the gym. So that's 2 sweaters that I have planned out. Are you counting? I have a million sweaters that I want to knit. I want to knit a Tanya out of this yarn, which is Succulents in Footsie. I want to knit a TU out of some yarn behind me, but I digress. Sorry, my hair is crazy from work. So as far as purchases slash acquisitions, I did purchase some yarn and magazines from the Woolly Thistle. So right now the Woolly Thistle is having a You Pick 3 on back issues of Lane magazine, and you get a discount on them. My mom wanted an issue that she didn't have. I believe it was issue 4. Yes, issue 4 was the one that she likes the most things out of. So I said, well, there's 2 that I don't have that I want. So how about I put the number 4 in with my 2? We can do the pick 3, and that'll work out well. And then I also pre-ordered issue 8, which I'm not sure about. I love the aesthetic of it. I think the pictures are beautiful. The designs are beautiful, but now seeing some of them, I'm not sure how I feel about them for me, for my body type. But I'm going to hold off because I know that it'll just take me seeing one of them knit on someone with maybe a similar body type to mine, and then I will be able to picture it in my head, and then I will probably fall in love with it. So every time I haven't gotten an issue, I've been sorry. So I just did it, and you know, we'll see what happens. But I bought some more Tuku wool. So I ripped out the Eulabuck mittens. They are no more because I want to use this yarn to make a Winterfjell sweater by Ellie, who's Skein-Deer, and I'm going to use this color as the main color, and it is Tuku wool in the Uyo colorway. So I already had 2 skeins for those mittens, so I bought 4 more, and that should be enough for the body of the sweater. And then I'm going to use as my contrast the Sake colorway, which is cream colored, and Hajo, I think it's Hahjo, and it's red as the other contrast color. So it has like a strip along the top. Then you work the main color with like another contrast color. So that'll be this color with the cream, and then the red with the white, and then the mauve body. So it's a really subtle, like heathered gray, dusty pink. I love this color so much. It's going to be really, really pretty, and it'll be so warm. So I'm excited for that, but I probably will not cast it on for a little bit because I have some fingering weight sweaters planned, and this one is more of a woolly, warm sweater. So maybe towards the end of summer, I'll cast this on to have it ready for the fall and going into the winter. So that was that. And then I got, for my 2 out of the pick 3, I got issues 1 and issue 5. So these were the 2 I did not have in my collection. Issue 5 I purposely didn't get because I thought, oh, it's all spring and summer stuff, and I don't like that stuff. I almost never buy the spring summer issue of any magazine. Dummy, Nina. There's a lot of really cool stuff in here. And I didn't have issue 1, and it has a Stephen West shawl. I think the Garter Goodness is in here. It's got a couple of really great basic cardigans, like this one. And I need cardigans. I keep saying it, and then I don't knit them. And on Casta, this, I thought, it's a sweater dress. I don't know, but it tells you how to modify it to make a sweater. And I love the pattern on it, so I totally would wear it as just a pullover. And it's got an interview with Joji Locatelli, who I love. I love her podcasts in Spanish and English. Yeah, so there's just quite a few things that I want to knit in here. So I'm happy that I picked that up. And then for issue 5, I think there were also some really good cardigans in here. And there's this amazing, oh yeah, this Brennivan. I mean, that cardigan looks so cozy. It has a pretty lace detail in the back and pockets. I love my cardigans to have pockets. Yeah, this Midsummer Rose shawl. Kind of obsessed. It is like piles of beautiful lace. Oh my goodness. I want it. And I have some really great alpaca that would be perfect for that. And it's got an interview with Isolde Teague and Rosa Pomar. So much fun. So I was expecting it to have a lot of warm weather, short sleeved type sweaters, and it doesn't. The only one it has is Lota, which is not my, it's not my aesthetic at all. But that's okay. I'm sure it looks great on some people. Kuru is another really great, simple cardigan. And I love this Svelg. Look at that. It's got this really cool, that is part of the sweater. That little lace inside. I thought she was wearing just a cami underneath, but it's part of the sweater knit that you use a little bit of lace or mohair and you make a little lace panel there. So cool. So pretty. So anyway, glad I got that. And like I said, lane 8. It's fine. It's fine. There is one in here that I probably think I could see myself falling in love with. And there are really good interviews in it too, so obviously I will read those. Why am I whispering? There's no one here. Never. It is like, of course it's the last one. Uoma. It's like a zigzag detail kind of going across the chest. The only thing I'm worried about is like, is that gonna look like lightning boob? I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe not. I need to see it on somebody with a bigger chest to know if it's going to seem like that. So take that chance for me so that I don't have to. Oh, I got one more. Shauna had an update with Pop-Tarts. And I think I've mentioned before that I really, really wanted to have Pop-Tarts. It is the quintessential Gilmore Girls color, and I needed to have it. And now I do. It looks like a frosted strawberry Pop-Tart. So much. Do you see it? The speckles? Just like the little sprinkles on a Pop-Tart, a frosted Pop-Tart. So this one, I was originally going to hold it with blue, but Shauna said it would look really nice with a raspberry color. And she is so right. So this is Vicious Trollop from the Yarn Home Mom. It's in Shimmer Sock. I have 2 skeins. I got it off of her D-Stash again. Bought a bunch of stuff from her D-Stash and I shared it at the time. But this is going to be a short-sleeved Zweig because I love the one that Tabby made from the Hey Sister podcast. I love it. And so I wanted to have these colors together because they belong together, because Vicious Trollop is the color of lipstick that Lorelai shares with her mom. And it is the most beautiful magenta ever. And Pop-Tarts, because Lorelai serves Pop-Tarts to Rory all the time for breakfast. So that is going to be stunning. This will be the, you know, the lace yoke part of the Zweig, and then this will be the body. And without doing the sleeves, this should be plenty. And I think I won't burn out on it because I was fine with those little cable crosses for the body. It was when I had to go and do 2 sleeves of them that I was like, I'm gonna gnaw this needle down to a nubbin. I can't handle it anymore. But if I just have to do sleeves like this, that'll be fine, right? Anyway, it's gonna happen. This is going to happen. It's gonna be so pretty. I do love my Zweig so much, and I'm sad that it's a little too warm right now because the body of the sweater that I knit, I used an unnamed yak yarn that I bought from a garage sale thing that Amanda from No Makers was doing. It was a base she didn't end up carrying. I think it's probably similar to the Baby Got Yak base that Lolo Did It carries, but I've never actually tried that, so I can't say for sure. But I think the content is very similar. But it's warm, so kind of too warm to wear now. So this way I'll be able to wear in the summer also. Will be fun. And it'll be nice with khaki shorts. Okay. So that's that. And then my mom got me this when she was here. It is a pouch, and I need to sew it because there's a little part where it's hand sewed together and the zipper's kind of coming off, but it's fine. I can totally fix that with a little needle and thread. Gosh, I'm forgetting the company that makes these. It's like a Himalayan company or something, and or Nepal, and the women do them for fair wages and stuff. God, I suck. I'm sorry. I will get the tag for next time. Or I'll link it in the show notes, but it's yellow, guys, and it has this super cute flower, and it perfectly fits my Notion tin from the Sexy Knitter. So this is kind of my tin I keep most of my things in. So it has scissors and a little crochet hook, darning needles, and a bunch of stitch markers and stuff. And then my friend Andrea, I didn't bring the sock yarn she sent me, so I'll also share that next time. She sent me 3 skeins of Patons Croix in the FX line, and they're purple. And then she sent me Tuft Woolens in Strawberry Shortcake. And this totally, totally smells like the dolls. So if you were a child of the 80s and you had Strawberry Shortcake dolls and you liked the way that they smelled, this smells like those dolls. I've always wanted to smell like those dolls, and now I can. Childhood dream come true. Thank you, Martha, and thank you, Andrea, for making my childhood dream come true. And I'm getting a call from Josh. That means they're on their way back from the gym. That's fine, though. I think that is everything. Is it everything? No, it is not. You know what? This is sewing stuff. I will share it next time because I want to eat before the kids come home. So we'll call that everything. So thank you all for joining me. Keep entering things into the Stash Your Shelf Challenge and the Self-Striping Cal. You can double dip into both of them, absolutely. I've never actually seen a podcast where it says that you can't cross enter with other podcasts. That would be ridiculous, and how would you ever enforce that? So yeah, enter as many times as you want for prizes. There's an FO thread. I occasionally draw from the chatter thread. Use the hashtags on Instagram. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you have the most fabulous week ever. And until next time, spend time doing the things that you love, and I will talk to you soon. All right, bye.